What is up, everyone? I'm Skratch. Welcome to the channel. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. We are currently on the test server, guys. We have a lot of things to cover in today's video. Plarium is finally stepping up their game and they are buffing the Soul Stones. They're buffing the wishlist. We have a bunch of new champions added to the game. We have the Blessings Rebalance, the Champion Rebalance, which was pretty weak sauce, so we're not really gonna have a look at that because it's nothing interesting there. We have the new fragment system for the old fragments, and Super Raids are permanently active from here on. Now, these changes are coming to the game on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, together with the new fusion. Later on today, guys, we will check the new duo, the new powerhouse. We're gonna see how good they are, so stay tuned for that video as well. I want to start with the fragments, okay? So if we're gonna head over right here to the fragment summon, you see I have a 110 for Zinogre. I don't think I can actually use the rest of the fragments from all of these champions. I can exchange probably 5 from Timid. Let's see. Selecting this option will exchange all of these champions' fragments for exchange points. Okay. So, seems like I can basically burn all these fragments from the champions that I haven't summoned yet, which is pretty interesting, which means that if you are doing a bad fusion that you don't want, if you are doing the Doom Tower champions, which I wouldn't recommend it to waste them like this because they might come in handy later on at some point, and not all of them have this option. It seems like the Doom Tower champions, the more limited champions, including Zinogre, doesn't actually have the option to burn the extra fragments. So let me just summon her and see if the rest of the 10 fragments will be available in here, or I won't be able to trade them. Okay, let's just quickly find the 10 fragments. Where are they hiding? Okay, seems like we cannot. That's a bit of a bummer. Like, they should definitely allow us to use the 10 fragments that I just have extra in here, because I'll never be able to use them, you know? But then we can exchange this one. So, last time when we talked about it, I completely missed the part that they are creating a brand new currency, you know? So, the conversion rate is not how we initially thought. It will be 5 legendary fragments for 1 chest, basically, you know? So it's not as great. Okay, we got 4 right there. This is basically giving me 1, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, not even one. So the epics are definitely not doing a lot. The epics are definitely not doing a lot. So 30 epic fragments give you 1 chest. I want to see how is the drop rate. You know, I'm very curious to see that. So let's exchange all this. We can open 10 chests a week, guys. Okay. I feel like it's going to be a very long grind. So there we go, 10 chests. And unfortunately, there's no way to see the drop rates for the event, you know. So 5 epic, 1 exchange point, 1 legendary, 1 exchange point, but you need 5 exchange points to get one chest. And these are the rewards. You can get 1 to 3 fragments. You will need 100 of them in order to summon that champion too. So let's open them all and see. So we got 5 fragments. We got 5 fragments out of the 10 chests, which means that we actually got 3 drops, right? Yeah, we got 3 drops out of it, which is not bad, honestly. It's not bad if it's like this. It's acceptable. Not amazing, but acceptable. So 5 fragments a week. My God, I'll be here for like 2 years till I'm gonna manage to collect them. I would assume that I got lucky this time around and I got 5 fragments. So this is intended to be on for the long grind, you know. The champion is pretty awesome, though. He's kind of like a Doom Priest on steroids, a Tuhanorak on steroids, and I'm definitely a fan of both of those champions. I do think that Tuhanorak and Doom Priest, they are absolutely insane as champions. They're very powerful. Now, talking about Soul Stones, the wishlist, guys. Instead of a 2x, we have an 8x chance of getting souls for the following champions. Now, of course, this is not like the Voids and Sacreds. This is a universal soulstone that contains all of the affinities, and it won't really make a difference in here if it's a Void or a non-Void. And I'll be very honest with you, 8x is still not great, okay? Because think about 10x, for example. Think about 15x. They're still pretty weak, thinking about how many champions we have in the game. And for the soulstones, they're actually combining the Void champions with a non-Void, so the pool is even bigger than in the shards, which makes it even harder for us to hit this wishlist. So I do think 8x is better than the 2x. It is a step in the right direction, but it's far from being perfect. Now, we've been asking them, I've been asking them for a very long time. If you guys remember the interview that I had with Cyrilla on the channel ages ago, what is happening with the Iron Twins Fortress? Are you guys planning to buff the rewards from there? Are you guys planning to do more ways on how we can actually collect soul stones? Unfortunately, we have nothing for that yet. And hopefully they are going to buff those things as well, because they're desperately needed. So we have 8x. They buff the chances to summon legendary champions and to summon 5 stars, or I don't know, to summon better rarities from the soulstones, guys. So this is the new one. For the mythicals, it stays the same. I'm quickly going to bring up my other account on so we can have a bit of a look. So if you are paying attention to the chances to summon the specific ranks, how you may notice they are pretty much the same. Nothing changed on that. But what changed is the actual chance to summon legendaries. So on the Eternal Soulstones, we used to have an 80% to summon a 5-star and a 20% to summon a 6-star. That changed. 75% to summon a 5-star and 25% to summon a 6-star. So we got a 5% chance increase there. Then for the Eternal Soulstones, the chance to summon an epic went down to 60% from 70. For a legendary went up from 20% to 30, and for the mythicals is still the same. Again, is a 10% buff on that. Is much better than before, but again, it's still not perfect, right? Like, there's always room for better. Then talking about the Immortal Soulstones, mythicals the same, and what really changed in here is that the epic chance stayed the same, the rare chance decreased, and the legendary chance increased from 12% to 15%. So it's only a 3% chance in there. Then for the Mortal Soulstones, again, the rare chance decreased to 62.5%, while the legendary increased to 7.5% instead of the 6%. So that's actually pretty good. The next thing that I want to cover, guys, is of course the blessings rebalance. Now, if you guys remember, they said that all of the blessings will get the exact same stats, okay? So my warlord right now, which is a 6-star, is actually gaining these extra stats, okay? 8,500 HP, 750 attack, 600 defense, 38% crit damage, 75 resistance, 75 accuracy, 15 speed. Now, this will go on all of the 6-star blessings for legendaries, guys. For epics, for rares, of course, the amount of stats will decrease based on the rarity. For example, if we're going to have a look at a 4-star. So a 4-star blessing now gives us the HP, the attack, the defense, and the crit damage. The resistance, the accuracy, and the speed only unlocks at the 6th. Actually, they changed that too. So at 5-star, you are unlocking resistance and accuracy, and at 6-star, you're unlocking the speed. Now, this is a good buff for the 5-star ones, but at the same time, they changed the resistance and accuracy threshold. So this is a nerf, for example, on 4-star blessings. Before, my Yumeko used to have the 40 accuracy or whatever accuracy we had on a 4-star. Now I don't have that anymore. So let me just quickly find her and see how I actually lost the accuracy on her. Unfortunately, that's a bit of a bummer. We're gonna check the new champions in a second too. So right now, I don't have my accuracy on Yumeko anymore. Instead, I have attack and crit damage and HP and defense, you know, which is a bit of a bummer. Now I really need to look up to get a 5-star ASAP and then the 6-star to get the speed, you know. Let me know how you guys feel about it. Do you guys think it's a good idea to have all of the stats on all of the champions? I really hope that they would make these blessings in a way universal, so they will recognize what sort of champion has them equipped. If it's a attack champion, you're gonna give me attack. If it's a defense-based champion, you're gonna give me defense. If it's an HP-based champion, you're gonna give me HP. And that will actually be much better rather than inflating all of the stats on all of the champions. And I feel like changing this on the way on how you are gaining the stats based on stars is a bit of a bummer, especially for all of these champions that require the accuracy at 4-star. I'm definitely feeling a bit bad about it. Like I'm not a fan of this change at all, you know. Then we do have the blessings rebalance. We have quite a few of them that changed. We still have some more blessings trees that might unlock divinities or however they're calling them. But they changed a few of them. They changed the Indomitable Spirit, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is changed. They changed the Iron Will. Some of them got better. Some of them got a bit worse in a way or another, because you were able to do different things with them. Now this one, it sounded like it's going to be pretty busted from the very beginning, and they changed it. So they added a 1-turn cooldown. Before, when they announced that it had no cooldown, and that enabled champions that were using this blessing to do crazy things. So now it has a 1-turn cooldown. Chances to polymorph, guys, I need to actually wait for it to be in-game to be able to really test this out to see how big of a nerf it is actually, because the text was not 100% clear on how it will work. The reason why I'm saying it is because I'm well aware of how they are wording things and how it ends up in being something completely different than we initially thought, you know. So I won't comment much on it till I'm not going to try it a lot in game to really see the actual change. Talking about new champions, guys, we have some amazing new champions, but I want to start with a fusion champion and a partner. So we have Ancora right here. The base stats are actually pretty good. 20k HP, 1.2k defense, 111 speed. Starts with 40 resistance. Now we already know the kit. I'm not really gonna go over the kit of the fusion champion and the partner. Stay tuned for the next video. Probably is going to be live at the same time with this one, and we're going to test these two champions to see how good they are, how effective they are in the current meta. It will be a bit harder on the test server, but we're gonna do our best to make it count. And then of course we have the Void legendary, White King Narcissus. I really love the Mesopotamian design. I feel like they're kind of coming from that culture, if I'm not mistaken. They do look pretty awesome. But moving over to the next champions, we have a brand new mechanic, guys. Call it power creep or just call it a new mechanic, and basically new champions that will get more powerful if they have more allies from the same faction in their team. So we have the very first one, which is a Bannerlord, Aselin, the Stalwart. He looks pretty badass, right? Like, look at the design. I really love the design on this character, and I'm quickly gonna walk you through the entire mechanic. Look at his base stats, 1564 defense. Wow. The A1 attacks an enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn, will ignore the target's resistance if the champion is under a shield buff. The A2 heals all allies by the total value of all shields on all allies. Then removes all shields from all allies and attacks all enemies. The damage dealt by this attack is equal to the total value of the shields removed. Damage cannot exceed 1000% of this champion's defense. 1000%, that just sounds like insane, you know? Then we have the A3, and there you go, Bannerlord's Unity. Places a shield buff equal to 30% of this champion's HP on all allies for 2 turns, and a 50% ally protection buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Now he has a fairly decent HP, is not too crazy, but is decent. Then check out the new faction's Unity, guys. Instantly activates this skill whenever an ally is revived. Will not put the skill on cooldown. If there are multiple champions on the same team with this skill, only one will activate. So that's if you have one Bannerlord ally in your team. Then if you have 2 Bannerlord allies in your team, also places a block damage buff on this champion for 2 turns. Now if you have 3 Bannerlords in your team, buffs placed by this skill cannot be removed. That is an interesting mechanic, guys. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about this new type of mechanics? Of course, will only be on new champions. So this is something that is added to the skills. I was very curious to see what it is, because I've heard something from the data mined information about Unity skills or something like that, and we were like, oh no, another level of power creep. It is pretty strong. I'm sure we're gonna get much stronger skills in the near future, but it doesn't seem like it's necessarily going to break the game. Now, of course, Marichka and Taras with this will become more powerful. Then you have the passive. Allies under shield buffs receive 10% less damage. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, only one will activate. Now, if you have one faction ally Allies under shield buffs are immune to stun, freeze, sleep, provoke, fear, true fear, and petrification debuffs. If you have 2 allies, allies under ally protection buffs have a 20% chance of counter-attacking when hit. Jesus Christ, that's already so damn powerful. And 3 allies, the value of all ally shield buffs is increased by 100% except shield buffs granted by artifact sets. Damn, imagine Marichka's A2 now buffing your team. That's going to be just freaking crazy. Very, very powerful champion. Then the passive increases ally defense in all battles by 25%. And increases ally HP in all battles by 15%, only applies to Bannerlords. So you're going to get 25% defense, and if you have Bannerlords in your team, you're going to get 15% more HP on top of it. This sounds like very, very powerful all around, guys, and considering that all of the factions will slowly get champions like this, I'm very, very curious to see what other crazy champions we will get in the game. But this already sounds very powerful for a Marichka and Taras combination, you know, with a Bannerlord. Pretty damn juicy. Then we have a new champion, guys, and from the High Elves we have a brand new mythical champion. He looks amazing. He looks amazing. This form doesn't look that cool, but check this one out. Look at that. You've seen it in the thumbnail. He looks so freaking sick. I love the design of this champion so much. They've done such an amazing job with it. It's probably one of my most favorite looking characters in a Raid Shadow Legends at the moment. Let me know what you guys think as well, but he looks so amazing. He looks so amazing. So we have a support form, and the first one is support as well. His base stats are pretty good, actually. Very fast, 115 speed. With the A1, attacks all enemies, fills the thermometer of all allies by 10%, also fills the thermometer of each ally by an extra 5% if they have any active buffs placed on them by this champion. So you're getting a lot of thermometer AoE skill, which is great. The A2 removes all debuffs from all allies, then heals them by 25% of this champion's max HP, which is actually pretty good. Also fills the thermometer of all allies by 15%, and puts immunity on them for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. This is a very nice skill actually. Then you have the A3, revives all dead allies with 50% HP and 50% thermometer on a 4-turn cooldown, and places a perfect veil buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Duchess, what are you doing here, Duchess? So far, this champion is actually awesome. Definitely very nice. The passive, so we have a passive effect and an active one. The champion receives 5% less damage for each 100 resistance on the champion, stacking up to 25%. Then the active effect prevents this champion's death and keeps them alive on 1 HP when hit by a fatal hit. Then equalizes their HP. The HP level of this champion will be brought up to the average HP level on the team. So if you have somebody with Stone Skin at full HP, he's gonna get back to full HP in a second like that. On a 3-turn cooldown. This is actually such a beast of a champion. Resistance aura for all battles. And if we're gonna go over to the Metamorph, let's see what we have in here. The base stats seem to be pretty much the same. The A1 attacks all enemies again, decreases the thermometer of all enemies by 10%, decreases the thermometer of each enemy by an extra 5% if they are under a block active skills, decrease resistance, or stun placed by this champion. So he has a lot of crowd controller debuffs in there too. The A2 attacks all enemies. Before attacking, removes all buffs from all enemies. Then places a block active skill debuff for 2 turns. This attack will not trigger counter attacks. This sounds like a counter to Marichka and Taras, because if you are locking Taras's active skills with him, with Lydia or other champions that do it, Taras will never use the A2 to counter attack you when you hit Marichka. So this is actually a very strong skill. Of course, it all depends how big is the nerf on Polymorph. Then we have the A3. Places an increased accuracy buff on all allies for 2 turns, then places a decreased resistance debuff on all enemies for 2 turns, and a stun debuff on all enemies for 1 turn, and this is on a 4-turn cooldown. So far, this champion is a beast, man. And you have the passive, again, an passive effect and an active one. increases this champion's accuracy equal to 75% of the resistance when placing debuffs or activating instant effects. That's actually an interesting one. So what if I don't have enough accuracy to land the debuff? Will this still activate because I'm attempting to place a debuff or no? It's pretty interesting, but getting 75% of your resistance as accuracy, it can be massive. The active effect, even enemy's accuracy is higher than this champion's resistance, has a 50% chance of transferring any crowd control debuff back to the enemy when placing these debuffs on the champion. So if a Mitrala, for example, will put Petrification and she has more accuracy, he has a chance to transfer it to her. Resistance aura for all battles again. This is a very strong support mythical champion, 100%, and he looks badass. But if you thought that that's all, guys, we have a new Barbarian mythical champion, and alas, it is so powerful as well, guys. And he looks badass too. They really nailed the design on these two mythical champions, and you guessed it right. We have the 4th champion that places counterattack on all of your team in Raid Shadow Legends. It only took them 5 years. It only took them 5 years to bring us another counterattack champion. With the A1, attacks an enemy 2 times, places an extra hit if the target is under a shield buff. Each hit will ignore shield buffs. Interesting. The A2 attacks all enemies. Before attacking, places an increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. He has a pretty good base defense too. Places an extra hit on targets with less than 50% HP after the first hit. If the target's HP is equal to or higher than 50% after the first hit, destroys the target's max HP by 30% of the damage inflicted instead. So either way, he sounds good. Now, if he deals a lot of damage, he's going to be similar with Haprak, for example, because he has this sort of condition in his AoE skill. And then the A3, check this out because it's disgusting. Places a provoke debuff on a target enemy for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted if the target has less than 50% HP. Also, places a counterattack buff on all allies for 2 turns and a block damage buff on all allies for 1 turn on a 3-turn cooldown. Block damage and counterattack too. Absolutely insane, guys. What a powerful skill. Then you have the passive. Increases this champion's defense by 5% each time they counterattack, stacking up to 100%. Resets each round. So for clan boss damage, for example, this can be so powerful. You have a defense aura for all battles, and swapping to Metamorph, check this out. I love this Metamorph, the animations, they're so cool. Ooh, he looks so badass too, look at that. My god. I love the fists, the hair, the helmet, the axe. My god, he looks so badass. It's like a turbocharged Turvold, huh? Okay, so the base stats are a bit different because this time around he becomes an HP-based champion instead of the defense-based. And with the A1, attacks all enemies, places an extra hit on enemies under HP burn. The A2 attacks all enemies, places an HP burn debuff for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted by enemies under a Stone Skin buff. Then instantly activates any HP burn debuff on enemies under a Stone Skin buff. So they're really trying to push this HP burn as a counter to Stone Skin. Also places a True Fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. The damage is based on HP. I have no idea of how good are the multipliers, but I'm very curious to find that out. Then you have the A3. Fully restores all allies destroyed max HP and heals all allies by 30% of this champion's max HP. Places a strengthen buff and an increased resistance buff on all allies for 2 turns. Finally, another champion that can do it. Is not all about Marichka anymore. He can restore the destroyed HP, give us a healing, give us strengthen, and increase resistance. Of course, getting a mythical champion, guys, is literally like spotting a unicorn outside of your house. That's how rare it is to get a mythical champion. Then you have the passive. Increases this champion's HP by 6 for every 1 defense they have when in their alternate form. Increases the chance of enemy skills not activating when under fear or through fear debuffs by 20%, while under a HP burn debuff, while also under a HP burn debuff. Wow! So if you're gonna put HP burn debuff on champions with Stone Skin, you have a 20% chance of stopping them from using their skill, from activating their skills. Wow, that is definitely very, very nice. I want him. I want him. Increases ally defense in all battles by 35%. So far, I won both of the mythicals. They definitely stepped up their game, guys. I've told you from the very beginning, the very first 5 mythical champions, they were okay. They were not looking like they're going to power creep the rest of the legendaries. But seeing the newly added mythical champions is like a different league, man. It's like a completely different league, you know? Premier League and, I don't know, like some forgotten league in it's crazy. Moving over to the next champion, guys. We have a rare champion from the Sylvan Watcher, which, yeah, it's not that spectacular, but is a new rare champion. Boxsmith Flannan the Handsome. With A1, attacks an enemy 2 times, has a chance of placing a stun. Each hit has a chance of decreasing the turn meter. If the target is under a decreased speed debuff placed by this champion, decreases the target's turn meter by 10%. The A2 attacks all enemies and places a decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. The A3 places an increased accuracy buff on all allies for 2 turns, then teams up with a random ally to attack a target enemy. This sounds like a good champion for progression in the Fire Knight early on if you manage to summon him. And the passive has a chance of granting an extra turn when this champion places a decreased speed debuff on 3 or more enemies with their skill. Pretty interesting rare champion. Not too bad, actually. On the Dark Elves, we don't have anything. I actually just summoned my 2 legendaries, so that's why we have a red dot. But these are all of the new champions, all the changes coming to Raid Shadow Legends on Thursday, guys. I'm definitely feeling positive about the Soulstone changes. I'm loving the new champions. Massive fan of them. Stay tuned for the next video. Probably you're going to be able to click on it right now and check out how powerful is the new duo. Appreciate all of you guys watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.